We will start in the next 1 minute. We shall start in the next 1 minute, friends. We will start in the next one. Or rather, let us wait for a couple of minutes for everyone to join, and then we can get started. Just 2 more minutes, and we will start the session at 2:02. Let me write it down. We shall start. Okay, so we'll just wait for everyone else to join, and then we can get started. Another minute. Yeah, and we should get started. Yeah, so let's get started now. So, yesterday we have launched Amazon SageMaker, and then we have clicked on this option here, and then in the drop down we selected experiments and trials, and then we clicked on create autopilot experiment. And we gave the various details, and we started the experiment. It performed a lot of steps, and it has conducted a lot of experiments. And finally, it has put a star mark against a specific model which gave the best result. And we were using F1 score, which is similar to accuracy. And the model with the highest F1 score is the best. F1 score ranges from 0 to 1, and this is 0.63. And if you right click on that and say open in model details, it's going to give you some model explainability aspects. It's telling you that while there were different inputs which were used in predicting the output, these are the variables, or these are the columns which have contributed to the in a significant manner. Okay, and these values, numbers that you're seeing, 0.24 and 0.11, are part of something called as sharp values, which is part of explainable AI. And the various other details such as what was the training data accuracy and what is the validation data accuracy, what is the error for training and validation, all those details are given. What machine was used, what is the hard disk space that this machine had, right? Key fold cross validation value, and all the other various hyperparameters values have been selected, or those are given. When you go to these links which are available, different model related artifacts would be made available to you. If you want to download those, sure, you can download and start accessing or start making more sense out of that. For example, let me just click on this. I just clicked on this explainability artifact, which is there in our S3 bucket in the same folder that we created, 360 digit MJFDP. In that we have this. So you have report.pdf. In a PDF format, you have a report of explainability. You can just download it as is. And you have that explainability in various other formats also, like JSON, HTML, right? IPython, so on and so forth. IPython notebook. This is Python notebook file. That's how the extension of the file would be. And if you want to deploy the best model, all you need to do is go to the best model, and do you see deploy model here? Just click on that. And here you have two types of deployments. One is real-time prediction. The moment you give the inputs, immediately you get the output. Another is batch prediction. It won't real-time do the prediction. It will take all of your data, and then you can define when you want your predictions to happen. Maybe once in every day, or twice in a day, or 3 times in a day, something on those lines. That's batch predictions. So you have real-time predictions and batch predictions. So you can give your endpoint name, whatever name you can say, FTP 360 endpoint. Okay, you can let the instance type. Instance type means the server type and how many servers you need. You can also save your prediction results. You can save your prediction responses. Prediction requests means you're supplying your input. What input did you supply to your model? That gets saved. What is the output that you received? That also gets saved. Where do you want to save? You can give the name of the bucket. You can say, hey, store it in the same bucket, maybe. And then it's going to store. And what will it give you as prediction? Prediction label. Label means 0 or 1, right? In our business problem that we discussed yesterday, would a person accept a marketing offer if I send a discount email, or if I send a promotional email saying that you get a special 10% discount if you purchase iPhone using my credit card? Would someone actually make use of that offer or not? Maybe you'll put a coupon code to track whether people are redeeming or using your offer or not. 0 or 1. 0 means doesn't, make use of your marketing promotional email. 1 means they made use. Okay, and then you click on deploy model. The moment you click on deploy, endpoint gets created. It takes some time to create an endpoint. You can also create monitoring schedule. You want to monitor your model. I already spoke about data drift in the initial class. So such things can be monitored. You can just say, hey, continue. So you can just select the location where you want to monitor, click on continue, right? And then where do you want the baseline to stay in? Okay, these are not needed. You can also give the output location, dataset location. Let me click on continue. Then baseline configuration. You just give the bucket name or the folder name. and click on enable monitoring. What does it say? Endpoint does not exist. So endpoint is still getting created. Okay. And you can look at quality metrics, explainability, there's monitoring jobs, AWS. So if you see here, the status of endpoint is showing as creating. Once it is created, you can enable your model monitoring. So end-to-end entire lifecycle is automated, friends. Let it come up. While it comes up, I'll just quickly put some points here. You have taken the data. You have supplied the data as is to your autopilot. Okay, SageMaker, autopilot. You have given it as is. And your model has done all the analysis, including descriptive analytics, including data pre-processing. It has done everything for you. And then you just had to select certain options. That's it. SageMaker. So what were those options? Where is the data set and what is the output variable? That's it. These are the only two things that you had to select. And your SageMaker has run 250 different combinations of models. And then it has given you the best model out. What are we doing now? We are deploying this model in production. Once you deploy it, you can start using it. Okay. And you can also monitor the model post-production. Monitoring is very important because when you build a model, it's not going to be applicable for the rest of the life. As and how the data drifts, data probability distributions change, you'll have to rerun your model or retrain your model. Okay, let me refresh and see. It should be created by now. No, I would not refresh the complete page because let it get created and then let's see what happens basically once we do this. Okay, so while this runs and this endpoint gets created, I also want to tell you guys that once the endpoint is created, you can start using it for future predictions. Having said that, you'll be charged. Okay, so if you're not using your endpoint, please delete it. If you're doing it for practice, make sure that you delete your endpoint, you delete your SageMaker Studio, you delete all the various files which are there in S3 bucket. Make sure that you delete everything so that you're not charged. By mistake, if you forgot to stop any service, if you forgot to delete certain things, and if you're charged, then quickly reach out to AWS customer service and say that you have been experimenting or you have been trying to get yourself familiarized with the various functionalities, and they would actually reimburse the entire money for you. But that does not mean we should take advantage of that. Please ensure that you delete all these three things. Okay. While this happens, I also want to tell you that for the next 2 days, that is today, for the remaining time, and tomorrow, my colleague Sharad Chandra, he will introduce himself, is there on the call. He will walk you guys through Microsoft Azure ML services. As I've promised, there'll be drag and drop functionality, which will be explained, and Google Cloud Platform, and how to make use of Auto ML without writing a single line of code. Here also it's a Azure Studio services, wherein you'll have drag and drop functionalities. All right. And then on the last day, which is on Saturday, I would be coming back, and then I'll be walking you guys through explainable AI. Okay, the session might last for an hour or so, and then we'll wind it up. And I'll also explain about next steps, that is how to get the certificate. We'll be sharing the link with you all. You'll have to register in that. and we will let you know the process to get the certificates. So that is how it will be. And this is not yet created. If it's not yet created, then I will just quickly, in the interim, without wasting time, I'll quickly go to the YouTube channel. And once again, let me share this link with you all. So this is day 4, my dear friends. You need to just subscribe and click on notify icon to be able to get access to this. So let me go here and post it. There we go. So this is for everyone. You can just quickly subscribe. So I'll close this. And yeah, it is in service. The moment it is in service, that means this endpoint is active. And then you can enable your monitoring service. Okay, you can just create monitoring schedule and then create the modeling service. So this is how you build end-to-end model, friends. And thank you all so much, and I believe you have enjoyed. Now I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Sharath, who will walk you guys through further training. Thank you so much for your patience. Over to you, Sharath.
Hey, thank you, Barney. Good afternoon. Hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you are very much audible, Sharath. And then probably you can share your screen and take it forward.
Yes. All right, let me start the share. Okay, before we proceed with Microsoft Azure Services, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Sharath. I would want to show my LinkedIn profile. Let it pop it up. All right, that's me on the screen. My name is Sharath, and I'm one of the directors with Innodatatics. And my core work area is into analytics, AI, Spark services, big data services, basically. This is my profile. If anybody wants to connect, please do so. I would be happy to connect with you all. This is my link. Sorry, I think I need to, yeah, I think it's showing as Bernie only. All right, so that's about my introduction. Now, as you have already undergone the training with respect to cloud services, in the industry right now, the 3 major players which share the market are AWS being the top. Then we have Azure, which is given by Microsoft. And Google is probably the baby, I should say, in the cloud space when compared to AWS, but it is doing tremendously well. GCP is competing, and they have a lot of additional benefits also that keeps that apart. Each cloud service, from a logical standpoint, the setup standpoint, they are very similar. But the services that each of these cloud services provide, I mean, cloud platforms provide, are a little different. Maybe with respect to the terminologies, with respect to the navigation, right? So we will today walk through Azure Services, specifically with machine learning. And Microsoft Azure has a specific module called Studio, ML Studio, which allows us to do the ML implementation without writing any code. And it is fun doing the Studio development here, ML development, because we will see a flow diagram. We'll drag and drop and do some kind of edits in that. And when we submit the job, it is going to do the entire job automatically. Just like what we have seen in SageMaker, it is internally doing all those hypertuning and all the entire pipelines will be executed, and we will get the end result. So let's go to the Azure, and we'll talk about how to start the services and all that. So this is basically the portal that you have to log in. The Azure services can be accessed through azure.microsoft.com. Microsoft.com. You have to create your account. If you already a Windows users, and if you have a registered account, then you'll basically see that you can log in through that account and you'll be able to access free services. Then once you have created your credentials, we go to the portal. I will launch the portal and then we will discuss about this. I've already launched it. I have logged in. This is how you will see when you log into your Azure services. We can also use classic services here. Studio.azureml.net. This is a classic service. You might also want to experiment using this, but I would recommend everybody to use this portal.azure.com. Let me share the link here. There you go. Portal.azure.com. Now, once you log in, right, you have to click on start free, give your credit card details, right? It basically verifies your credit card details by, basically cutting 2 rupees. It will be charged 2 rupees in Indian currency on your credit card, and then you will be getting the services. And yeah, Azure gives you $200 credit and 1 year annual subscription for consuming those services anyways. Once you come to this portal, you will have to create resources. There are various services that Azure provides, and we are looking for machine learning services only. If you do not find this machine learning services here already, then you can click on create a resource. You need to log in to portal.azure.com and create a resource. Once you come here, in the search engine, here search space, sorry, we have to search for machine learning. Okay? And you can see there are a bunch of options that it is given. You'll select machine learning, and it is giving us this particular space. You'll subscribe here, and you will have to basically say create a resource. Click on create, and it will redirect you to this page where you are going to create a workspace. Workspace will basically allow you to create all your artifacts. Whatever the resources that you want to utilize will be associated with this workspace. And once your work is done, once your project is finished, you can delete all the resources and you can delete your workspace. That way, you will have a little bit better control over your billing when you're working with Azure. And this is probably one of the advantages personally that I see when compared to AWS. Of course, AWS has a lot of other benefits, and that is the reason why it is the best cloud service platform that we see in the market today. So here, subscription will be either free subscription or you have to give your billing. So once you say pay as you go billing section, I mean, if your free credits are completed, if your free credits are finished, then it will ask you to subscribe with a credit card. Whatever the credit card that you have fed in, it uses that credit card for billing purpose. And you can also have multiple credit cards like this that you can assign. In the drop-down, you will see those options. And if you don't have any, you can create your subscription. It will ask you to create a subscription as well. Post that, you give a resource group. This resource group is basically the name of the resources that you're going to write. It's a workspace. You're creating a workspace. So this workspace will be given a name. So that is, right, basically falling under a resource group. You can have certain groups created and you can associate this particular workspace to that group. So that, right, you might want to develop a product and you have multiple tasks, right, subtasks in that project. So you can create a group. Under that group, you can create multiple workspaces. So I can use a existing group. I will say ML on cloud, or I can also say 360 digital, or you can create a new group completely. So I'll say create new group, right? And you can give any name. So it's a resource group is a container that holds all the related resources, right? So let's not create a new one. I already have this. So I'm using ML on cloud resource group. And once I'm giving the resource group, right, selecting the resource group, we come to workspace name. You can give any name. So I will say ML services. It will clearly prompt if you are not following the recommendations. If you need to understand what these things are, then you can hover your mouse on this I button, which is like help. It gives us some instructions. The workspace name must be unique within your resource group, right? So you have to give a name there. The region, by default, it is selected as Central India. Based on the location that we are, it will be selecting the region. The same concept, right, is applied here also. When you say region, it is the location where your services are hosted for Microsoft. The data centers are hosted, right? So that's the Central India region. And you can also look into different regions that you can find here, right? So I'm going with the default one. Storage account, I'm not editing anything. I already have by default one storage account created. If you want, you can create new storage accounts as well. We have key vault. Key vault is more like right. You can see it's used for storing your credentials, right? It's like identity management. You can see. Let me see the chat messages. Okay, I'm just checking if you have any questions. All right. Then we have right all these default options. We will click review and create. And once it is validation is passed, you'll say create. So all you're doing is giving a name to your resource group, selecting a resource group and giving a name to workspace. That's it. Create. Now this is going to create a separate resource group. It will take a little while because it is creating right, an entire workspace, a platform for you to start using the Azure services. And the subscription is where your billing is going to fall. All the resources that it has by default derived, they are getting created here. Storage account is getting accepted. It's getting created now. Almost done. It will hardly take a couple of minutes to get this workspace right, created. Once it is created, we will have to go into the resource group. We'll wait for a minute. Yes, done. So deployment succeeded and it says go to resources. You click on this and this is where your ML services resource group is shown. This is the name that I've given for my resource group. These are the various services, and this is basically the platform where we can start using our ML Azure services basically. To launch the studio, this is the service that we need. We are interested in this. Click on Launch Studio. It is loading the workspace. All right, that's it. This is where we'll start working. On the left side pane, you can see various services that we can utilize.
Hey, hi, Sharath. Sorry to intervene here. So I promised there will be designer services which will be explained, wherein we have drag and drop functionality.
Yes, Bernie, I'm basically navigating to that location.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
All right, so here, as you can see, there are various options. Now we are interested in looking into the designer component. Drag and drop interface from prepping data to deploying models. So you either click on designer or here, right? So anyone is anywhere you can click, and this is where I'm coming. This designer option will allow us to select all these readily available pipelines, image classification based, binary classification techniques and all that. I will go with easy to use pre-built models, right? I'll click on this, which will create a new pipeline for us. Now, this is the interface where we will start using our drag and drop features. So these are all the resources that are readily available for defining our pipeline. But in order to execute a pipeline, we need compute, virtual machine. So here you have to select compute target. And do I have any existing targets? No. So I will have to create a new instance. The only option you will see that it is giving you a 2 CPU, 7 GB node. You give a name. You'll say ML services here also. This is your compute instance name, and then say save. You can see it is creating the instance. It's provisioning us a VM instance right here, and it is basically giving a 2 CPU VM instance. We'll say save. We'll have to wait here, or we can also go to compute here, and we will check if it is started. It's not started. Compute instances. Yeah, it's coming here. And the clusters, it's coming. Once it is created, you will basically be able to, yeah, it is done. So the provisioning of compute instance is ready. So come back to designer, and this is the pipeline I was using. So I'll click on the same pipeline, and here, this prompt that you're seeing has to be removed. So I'll say select compute target. You select it and then save, and you can see that prompt is gone. Next, you want to use a data set for starting your provisioning, right? You have to create a pipeline. An ML application has to be developed. For that, we need a data set. You can use any of these existing data sets here, right? A lot of existing data sets are there, right? We can start with using automobile price data. This is basically used for predicting the prices of automobiles. If you want to load any existing data, your local data set, then you will basically use this data set option and upload it. And here you will see that new data set coming up, right? So for now, I'm going to use the existing data set. I'll say use the data set. You can see these are the various parameters, and this is the output. These are the details. Let me show you in detail. I'll click here. All right. And I will right click on this, and you will say preview data. You can see the fields of that data set. You can also enlarge this. This is basically various factors: symboling, normalizing losses, the make of the vehicle, what is the fuel type, aspirations. So all these data types are also automatically interpreted. The basic statistics are already done. So you can see for all of these, your bar plot is given, right? So you can minimize this. You can move this here. Now in this, I have to select the columns, right? Now to select the columns, you can go to okay, let me search for select columns. So this is various, right? Search directly you can do here. The select columns data has to be dragged and dropped here. Because there are a lot of fields that I see in our data set, I want to choose specific columns only. So I will say select columns in the data set, and you drag and connect these two dots here. Now you see a small right warning message like a triangle shape there. If you click on this, the features are shown here. Select columns in data set, and there is a right value. I mean, it's asking for a value. You click edit columns. Here in the column names, you can see you can choose various fields. I'll say column names, and then I'll click here. And I will probably say, rather than individually choosing each and every column, I might directly say all columns. Right? And you can say additional things. This is to include all the columns, and you can say, if you want to drop anything, you can choose exclude. From all these columns, you might want to drop any one of the column. So choose column names, and you can give one name. Right? For example, I'll say normalized losses. I'll remove this. You can experiment like this. So I'll save this, right? And when you're executing this pipeline, it will remove that particular specific column that we have selected. To save time, you can run right away. The job can be submitted right away. Or we can proceed further to the next steps as well. You see, there are various options here. One of the options that you will have to do is data transformation. Right here, from this data transformations, we will also use, let's say, cleaning missing data, right? Or you will basically use this for splitting your data, right? Removing duplicate rows. Data pre-processing can be done from this particular section. Now here, I'm going to use clean missing data. Again, drag and drop. There's a warning message. So when I click it, it gives you the section here, editing section. I will say edit column. And I need to give what columns you have to clean. So probably I'll say all columns I want to do the cleaning. Right? I'm not selecting any one or two columns. Just say all columns and save. So it is going to work with right, cleaning missing data. It's simply removing the missing data. If there is any specific missing cell, the entire row gets removed. Next, once this pre-processing steps are done, we want to develop the model. But remember, if I have to develop the model and evaluate the model, I will have to use split data section here. This splitting of the data should be implemented. This splitting of the data will split the cleaned data into training and test. So I will have to drag and drop here. Okay? So from the cleaning data here, the cleaned data, you will drag. It will also show you whether you are dragging and dropping the right things or not. So it will not allow if you want to drag and drop like this, right? So this is another benefit you will see. So I'm splitting my data here. When I say split, you also have to mention how much data you might want to split. %. Next, we have to train the model. So for training, you can also again search for machine learning algorithms. Model training also is there. Or you can search here. If you confused, you can say train. This is the training model job. I'm just dragging and dropping here and putting it here. So the training data, right, it requires the data set. After splitting the result data set, this is your training data. We'll pass it here. But training model also has this. It needs what model you want to train as input. So because here we are trying to build a regression model, right? We are choosing the train model, right? So let's say linear regression. I want to use this linear regression model. So I'll drag this here a little like this. Now in the linear regression model, you will drag and drop like this. All right. So you are basically saying you want to train the linear regression model on the training data set. But what is the target variable? You have to edit and give the target variable name. Here we are trying to predict price, right? You search for the price column, select it, save it. So your pipeline is almost done. The model gets trained, but you also have to evaluate the model. So for evaluating, you need to score the model, right? So I'll say score the model. This is going to give us the accuracy calculations. So from the training data set here, we are passing that to develop the model, and the trained model will give us some accuracy, right? So I have to measure that. I also have to use the test data for doing the predictions, right? To measure the scoring on test data as well, I need to drag and drop this particular test data to scoring model. Finally, I am doing the model evaluation on whether the model is giving us an appropriate result or not. So here you will say evaluate model. Drag and drop that. And you can give this from the score model, which is basically having training data set accuracy, test data accuracies. We are going to compare that here in the evaluate model. This is your job. Now we have defined the entire pipeline like this, right? I'll just get these things closer so that we can see everything in a single space like this. You can also decrease the font size or increase the font size to see your entire flow. drag and drop options. Now, the entire pipeline that you have developed has to be executed. Right from loading the dataset, doing the pre-processing, training the model, evaluating the model using both training data and test dataset are automatically done. All we have to do is click on the submit button. Setting up pipeline run. It's a pipeline, right? It's a job that is getting created. Here it is called as an experiment. We have to give a new name. You can say regression example. You can give any name. And you can click on this checkbox if you want to continue if a step is failing. If you don't select this, if there is any failure, it will stop at that point. We have to basically rework, check what is the error, and then we can rerun the job. So here I've removed the failure step continuation and then clicked on submit. It will take time. It is going to take some amount of time for executing the entire pipeline. As you can see, it is preparing the entire flow. Right? And the status is shown here, running. You can also come here under the experiments and see the flow. The pipelines is what we have developed. So when you're using this designer feature for drag and drop, all these assets are being utilized. Once the model is created, right? Once the model is ready, you will also be able to deploy it using the endpoints. Right? It's pretty simple. We all have to wait for this to get executed. And let's see if I have any experiments. Not here. This is the pipeline that we have created, and it shows it's running. The status is running. Okay, back. It will go. It will take me to the same right, pipeline here that we have developed. Now I will show you my other executions. I think I have one execution already ready. So let me see if I can show you. The execution. Yeah, it is already executed. This is a different example altogether, but this is something which is already executed. So once the entire pipeline is executed step by step, you will see this green color symbol, right? Past each and every step. And finally, your model will be tested. And if you click on this, you will be able to see the details. Right? Details, what are the parameters that you have used? These are out, what settings you might want to run, right? All these things are there. This is your output. These are various metrics that we are capturing with respect to the model evaluation. Then there are various child runs. So here there are no subtasks which are executed. If you have any images, it will show that. Snapshots, it will show that, right? Let us see metrics for a brief period. This is a classification model, but here you can see accuracy. Whatever metrics you want to see, you can select those metrics, right, using this checkbox. If you remove this, it will remove the options, I mean the values. Okay, this is in the table form. You can see here. Let me enlarge this. Yeah, this is the table form. I'm not sure why the visualization is not coming. We'll wait for our execution to finish. But it is going to show in a table format. Right? And accuracy of this model that we have run is 0.567. This is only based on one iteration. For a demonstration purpose, I'm showing you. But internally, it is going to do multiple iterations You can also set hyperparameters and all that. Explanations is also given. For this model, we have not enabled explanation. Once you click on explanation, right, it will also be showing you those features as well. This is the pipeline that I'm trying to show you. Right? Drag and drop option. This is done on a data set that we have. Let me see if I can show the diagram here. No, it is not working. So I'll come back to this and we will see the status. It's still running. Yeah, finalizing and running status is still going on. So that's it. You can see it is easy. Based on what is the pipeline that you want to define, you are going to utilize the services which are readily given for us. And you're going to drag and drop and connect these flow. And when you submit the job, Azure Services are kicking in and it will make sure that the entire pipeline flow is executed without errors. And if there are any errors, you can also look into the error logs and try and resolve those error logs. As I mentioned, it will take close to 10 to 15 minutes to finish the entire flow based on how many resources we are providing for the training purpose. If you're choosing a very small instance, then obviously it will take much time. And if you want to increase your instance, you can also go to compute and spin off your own service, whatever the service that you want with respect to the resources, and use that compute instance for doing the training. So right now it has finished loading the data set, selecting the columns, removing the missing cells, and now it is queuing or running the splitting of the dataset task. Post that, the training starts, and training will take a good amount of time. Right, let me see if you have any questions here. What written the second dot in clean text data? This one? When you hover your mouse, you can see it says cleaned data coming here, and this is clean transformation, cleaning transformation. So what is the step it has taken for doing that cleaning? That information is given here. We don't need to extract that information from this. Any other questions that I see here? All right, no. Yeah, we just have to wait for some time. The training is happening. If you want to see the jobs, as I mentioned, you'll come here. You'll basically click on run. And there are these jobs that are happening. These are all the various steps that it is running now in the backend. Training model is happening. And outputs and logs, these are the log files. You can also see the execution logs. And we have metrics here. Metrics will come after your model evaluation step is finished. Right? So again, I'll come back to this job here. If you want your clean data, you can right click on this data set or clean data set, and you will see preview data. You can also see the cleaned data and cleaning transformation. These two circles that you're seeing, right? The dots, those dots. We are interested in seeing the cleaned data, so you can click here and it gives you the information about all the fields. So mean is calculated on Symbolin. Minimum value and maximum value are given. Median is given. Standard deviation. There are 0 missing values in this field, and there are only 6 unique values. You can also see the categorical data, make, and it does not calculate these statistics for categorical data, non-numeric data. All right. You can also come to Studio Azure ML and the same thing happens, guys. There's no difference. You can just click on My Experiments and all the experiments that you have developed there, it is there. This is a classical model. I mean, it is old interface. Previous, when Studio started, this is how it basically had the interface. And you can click on experiments and see what are the right now experiments which are running. Or you can also create your experiments, just like what we have done here. And I'm just giving you an overview of what we have done here. But let's wait for the model to finish. Pipeline has completed. So now I have a notification which says that my execution is completed. We'll come back here and see that yes, all the steps are green color, right? Are in green color. Again, to check the metrics, right? You can also right click here and say review data. It will say evaluation results. You can click on this and this is your results. It calculates error, mean absolute error, and this is predominantly used root mean square error, and RMSE is shown as 4299.9679. Right? It's looks like a pretty high average, high error. But yeah, this is how we basically do the prediction. Now, once this is done, if you want to deploy it, right, you can also see endpoints here. You will be able to create an endpoint, right? These are your pipelines. You can say pipeline endpoints. There are no pipeline endpoints. So you can also create a pipeline here. I mean, you can publish your model. You can also see models. This is also not ready. So what we will do is we'll come to experiments. This is the experiment that we have used, right? This is the execution. Now, this experiment which was executed can be published. Click on Publish button. This is going to create a pipeline, again a pipeline, which is giving us an endpoint. Now, these endpoints are used for deployment. The endpoints are nothing but the services that you will be able to use for deployment. Preparation, deployment. I am giving a explanation. Sorry. Create new, give a name, give description, and you can right again uncheck these things. Set as default pipeline for this endpoint. You can click on publish. So this is going to create the endpoint. This is the pipeline created. Right, these are your published pipelines. Now, using this published pipelines, we can basically try and do the predictions. You can also use this REST endpoints, right? If you have a REST API and all that, you can use this link for integrating your model to your applications. So drag and drop, very simple. Your model is ready, trained and ready for deployment. You can also go to endpoints here right? And real-time endpoints can be created. Using the same model, we can create a real-time endpoints. And on the fly, you can use that for doing the predictions here itself. Now, once the services are done, I mean, once your work is done with Azure, make sure you delete everything, right? You can come here to the home, right? And you can navigate back to each and every resource that or assets that we have used. And you can click delete the resources, all the individual resources that we have selected. Or we can also go to the your Azure portal here, this one. Let me go to ML services resource group, which you have created. Here you can simply delete this particular resource group, workspace basically, under the resource group ML on cloud. Just select this, and all the resources that we have utilized till now will get deleted automatically. So you don't have to keep a track of what resource you have created, right? Endpoints, which will trigger a lot of backend services. Then your data sets are loaded. You don't know how many data sets you have loaded. So you have to basically keep a track of everything. Now, all that is not required here. You simply come here and say delete, right? But if you want to reuse these workspace, then you have to make sure that the services that we are utilizing, predominantly the compute engine here, this one has to be stopped, right? So you can click on this and you can see these services. These are on-demand services which are given for your designer services to click the job. So you can simply delete the entire services, the clusters that you have selected. If you click delete, the assignment, I mean these resources that are assigned to you will be removed. When you are initializing a new pipeline, it will again ask you to assign a compute instance. So if you are using designer, then on-fly clusters are assigned to you, or VM nodes are assigned to you for doing the pipeline execution. So either you delete here or come here and delete the complete workspace. Either way, you will have a better control to, right, basically reduce your billing. All right. Now, we can also use, this is a drag and drop option, right? Designer. We can also use automated ML, which is very similar to what you have seen in SageMaker. Right? Very similar features here. You can just click and right, navigate. Let's see if you have any questions. Okay, I see a lot of questions. Let me take them. Is there any particular steps to drag? It depends on what pipeline you want to define, Sharon. So whenever you are developing any machine learning algorithms, right, there will be certain set of steps that you will have to take. For example, here, if you see, these are standard steps for machine learning till here, I mean, from here. So the first step would be load the data set. And the second step would be data pre-processing. Now, how is your raw data? Right? What all features you have? Right? Do you have missing data? Do you have additional outliers data, exceptional data? Right? So we don't know. So you have to first evaluate your data set, and that is done using this second step. Right? And you will have majority of the features here for doing the cleaning. You have to first draft a plan and then you define this pipeline. So there is no specific set of options that you have to always choose. It is always going to change purely depending on what you are trying to achieve. Do we need to tune parameter if we want to increase accuracy, or will it will automatically do? Yeah, for designer, you have to again add that in your pipeline, right? So you see here, I'm saying tune model hyperparameters. The drag and drop, this pipeline that I have shown is a very simple vanilla model pipeline. If you want to also add, right, tuning, then you have to drag and drop this and basically give that to your model somewhere here. When your training the model happens, right, you also have to add the tune model hyperparameters and then go to scoring model. So it will come here in between. So it's a step that you will do in short. How to change the model after training on one model? Can we change on same pipeline, or we need to create another pipeline? So pipelines are iteratively executed, right? Incremental basis. So if you want to change anything, let's say at this stage, you have to drag and drop those options from here. So whatever the task you want to do, predominantly it will be in data transformations or feature selection techniques. You have to add those here and resubmit the job. So till here it is verifying, till the train model it is verifying, but they are already executed. So only that one specific task you are adding, that will get executed. It depends on what you want to add. Based on that, the job has to be resubmitted. Right? Hope I have answered your question, Rishabh. You don't need to create a pipeline. You can edit the existing pipeline. But you have to rerun the job. Right. All right. You can also create another, just for showing demonstration purpose, I will create another pipeline here. So what we have done now is a classification model. I'll create another pipeline here. By default, it gets a name. You can give any name here by clicking on that. You can just give any name. It has to be unique. Okay, and I'm going to load a existing data set. When I say existing data set, this is a data set which I have loaded from my local system. What is the data set? You can just click on preview, and it's loading. Yeah, this is the data set. It contains categorical binary fields here. Then this is the gender, male and female, 2 options are there. This is the insurance, whether the person was insured or not, whether the person was wearing a seatbelt or not. What is the age of the person? Is the distribution is given here, and what is the loss incurred by the particular customer. So these details are given. This is your data set, which we have loaded into Azure. All right. Next, I would want to do cleaning, right? So again, I'll say clean data set, or you can go to data transformations and choose that if you remember from which section that option is given. So I'll say clean the data set. I'll click on this. I will click on edit, and I will say all columns. and then say save. Cleaning method, remove the entire row. If there is any one cell missing, you delete that row. So I'm dragging this. Right? Now, once cleaning of the data set is done, I'm going to come up with splitting of the data set. I'm just giving a very simple demonstration here. Right? So I'll click on this. Splitting, I will say probably 85% and 15%, or 80%, 20%. That's your split. Then this is a data set on which I will want to run a binary classification model. So I'll say binary to class. Let me check this. I'll say logistic. To class logistic regression. To class is binary basically. I'm defining this. On the split data set, I want to run logistic regression. So I'll say train model, and here I'll select the output. Okay, I need to basically give this link here. Sorry, my bad. And now if I select, why is it not coming? Okay. Split the data set, a two-class classification problem, train model, label. Now it is showing. It took time probably. I'm going to select attorney as my target variable. Right, after training, obviously we need to score the model. So we'll say score. Over here, I'll drag and drop these two. Training data set and then test data set. Here we will be doing the scoring, and finally we will evaluate. A typical flow of this machine learning algorithms will be similar. Right? Once you get familiarized with this drag and drop options, right, you'll fall in love with this. It looks really interesting to create your own pipelines, right? And it's really interesting. So I'll say submit. But yeah, when I say submit, it says you have to assign a compute target. So select that. You can select your compute target, which is already there. And then resubmit it. You can create a new example. And then say submit. As you have observed, the steps are pretty much similar. In between these steps, you will be adding your customized requirements. Like you're going to say you want to, you want to basically add hyper tuning, and all those things will be coming into the picture. All right. So hope this is clear now, everyone. Wonderful. All right. So this is about one of the features of your Azure for ML services, which is Studio, ML Studio. You can also do image classification, regression, wide deep-based recommendation engines. So a lot of such readily available pipelines are given, right? You can use those, or we can create our own custom pipeline, just like what we have done now. All right, still training. It's cleaning the data set. Now, tomorrow we will be discussing about GCP, Google Cloud Platform. In Google Cloud Platform, we will have AutoML. Only Microsoft has this designer feature, right? It is a specialty of your Azure, where you are going to visualize your pipelines like this. Whereas in SageMaker, or if you talk about GCP AutoML, those options are like menu-based options, right? These drag and drop options are not there. And this is one feature which is keeping Azure a little different from GCP and of course SageMaker. All right. So that's to conclude Azure Services. Any questions? If yes, please, yeah, you can ask your questions. Yeah, don't see any questions here. All right, we shall wait for a minute or so to see these results. I'm executing this specifically to show you that confusion matrix as well. For your attendance, the link is given in the sticky pad. I mean your feedback, right? You can give your feedback and the sticky pad. The team will be posting the link now. The sticky pad has the YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook subscription pages. You can click on those and subscribe for more information. And yeah, but that's it from my side, friends, with respect to Azure. I'll just wait for this to finish. Okay, in the meantime, I'll also show you the deletion technique. So I'll come here, right? I would go to the services here and ML services. I'll simply say delete. Are you sure you want to delete the workspace? Yes. So a single deletion will make sure that all the resources that you have consumed for executing this task are deleted and you're not getting billing. Right? As I mentioned, this is very, very comfortable for new users because you cannot keep track of all the services that are internally launched or utilized for executing your ML jobs. Right? That's a very good benefit that Azure has. So where the ML services that I've spent, I deleted that. And this is the other services that I have already been using. Yeah, this one. This is a different workspace. So it's still running. If you want to utilize the workspace, you can see we have already deleted this. So you are getting an error. Okay, 409 code error is occurring because your service is already deleted. All right. Yeah, can we get today's flow, how to select the required options? Okay, so there are not much specific flow. I mean, it's very simple steps. You don't have too many navigations to go through to create a mind map. We are basically logging into portal.azure.com. then creating Workspace, right? I mean, you have to select your resource, that is your ML services. My handwriting is a little, not little, very bad. So you have to bear on that. Bear with me on that. So portal.azure.com. Once it is logged in, you will select your ML services. Once you are inside your ML services, you are going to create your resource group. Resources. We call that as Workspace. Once this is created, you log in, you launch Studio. That's it. These are the steps, friends. So there are not too many steps that you require. And this is how your studio looks like. And here we are clicking on Designer. Yeah, Chandra, hope I've made it clear. Please mark your attendance, everyone. The link has been provided. And we shall connect tomorrow and discuss about GCP, Google Cloud Platform. All right. If you have any questions, please post them. If not, then we can wind up. All right. Thank you so much, and see you all tomorrow with GCP. Thank you all.